I stood there in my torn dress, wine dripping down my face while my sister's friends laughed. My own sister had just slapped me in front of 200 guests. They called security to throw me out. But when those cars pulled up and he stepped out, their laughter died instantly. Hey everyone, before I tell you this story that changed my entire life, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Ring that notification bell, because what happens next will leave you absolutely speechless. This story has more twists than you can imagine, and trust me, you don't want to miss the ending. It's absolutely insane. Now, let's get into this drama. My name is Lucy, and I need to take you back a bit so you understand just how devastating this day was for me. You see, my sister Jessica and I weren't always enemies. There was a time when we were everything to each other. I was 10 years older than her, and when our mother got sick with cancer when Jessica was just 8 years old, I became more than her sister. I became her mother, her father, her entire world. I was 18 and had just gotten accepted to college with a full scholarship. My dreams were finally coming true. But life had other plans. Mom couldn't work anymore, Dad was drowning in medical bills, and someone needed to take care of Jessica. So I made a choice. I dropped out before I even started. I got 2 jobs, working mornings at a coffee shop and nights waiting tables at a diner. Every penny I made went into keeping our family afloat. I raised Jessica. I packed her lunches, helped with her homework, went to every parent-teacher conference. When Mom finally recovered 3 years later, I had already sacrificed my youth. But I didn't mind because Jessica was thriving. She was smart, beautiful, and heading to college. The college I never got to attend. I was so proud of her. Fast forward 15 years, and I met Benjamin. He was different from anyone I'd ever known. Quiet, thoughtful, always traveling for work. He said he was in business consulting, and honestly, I never asked too many questions. We fell in love quickly and got married in a simple courthouse ceremony. No fancy wedding, no expensive ring, just us and 2 witnesses. Benjamin was away a lot for work, sometimes for weeks at a time. But when he was home, he made me feel like I was the only person in the world who mattered. My family never really warmed up to him. Mom would make comments like, "Does he even have a stable job?" Dad barely spoke to him. And Jessica had changed by then. She'd graduated, landed a job at a marketing firm, and started dating Brandon, the son of a real estate mogul. Suddenly, my little sister, who I'd raised with so much love, became someone I didn't recognize. She was obsessed with designer bags, expensive restaurants, and looking down on anyone who didn't fit into her new wealthy social circle. When she got engaged to Brandon, I was genuinely happy for her. I thought maybe, just maybe on her wedding day, we could reconnect. Be sisters again. I was so wrong. The invitation came in the mail with a handwritten note from Jessica that said, "Try not to embarrass us. Dress code. Elegant only." My heart sank reading those words, but I convinced myself she was just stressed about the wedding. Then Mom called me. She didn't even say hello. She just said, "Please, Lucy, don't ruin Jessica's special day with your poverty." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Dad called next and suggested that maybe I shouldn't sit with the main family during dinner. "It might be easier for everyone," he said. I cried that night. I cried for the little girl I'd raised who now saw me as an embarrassment. I cried for the family I'd sacrificed everything for, who now wished I would just disappear. But I decided I would go anyway. I would show up, be graceful, and prove that I belonged there just as much as anyone else. I went out and bought the best dress I could afford, a beautiful red dress that made me feel confident. My friend let me borrow some jewelry and I practiced my smile in the mirror. Benjamin promised he would come, but said he had important business meetings that might make him late. I told him not to worry, that I would be fine. Another lie I told myself. The night before the wedding, Jessica called me. Her voice was cold, distant. "Lucy, I've seated you at table 24. It's near the back. Don't talk to Brandon's family, okay? They're very particular about who they associate with." I wanted to scream. I wanted to remind her of every sacrifice I'd made. Instead, I just said, "Okay, Jessica, whatever you want." The wedding was at this massive luxury resort about an hour outside the city. When I pulled up in my old car, the valet looked at it like I'd just driven up in a trash can. He barely looked at me as he took my keys. Walking into the venue, I felt eyes on me immediately. The security guard actually stopped me and asked if I was sure I was invited. I had to show him my invitation just to get inside. That should have been my first clue about how this day would go. I found the seating chart in the main hallway. Table 24 was literally next to the kitchen exit, as far from the main family table as you could possibly get. I stood there staring at my name, feeling so small, so unwanted. I needed a moment to collect myself, so I headed to the bathroom. That's where things started to get really bad. I was touching up my makeup, trying to give myself a pep talk in the mirror, when 3 of Jessica's bridesmaids walked in. Sophie, Amanda, and Christina. I recognized them from Jessica's social media, always posing with champagne and designer bags. They saw me and immediately started whispering to each other, not even trying to be subtle about it. Sophie spoke first, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Oh my God, is that a dress from a thrift store?" They all laughed. I tried to ignore them, but they surrounded me like a pack of wolves. Amanda bumped into me hard, making me drop my purse. My things scattered all over the floor. As I bent down to pick them up, Christina stepped on my lipstick, grinding it into the tile. "Oops," she said. "How clumsy of me." Then Sophie leaned in close and whispered, "Jessica told us all about you." "The charity case, sister." "It's actually kind of sad." They walked out laughing, and I stood there shaking, trying not to cry. I gathered my things with trembling hands and tried to compose myself. When I finally left the bathroom, I went looking for my mom. I needed someone, anyone, to make me feel like I belonged there. I found her with Jessica in the bridal suite. The moment I walked in, Mom's face fell. Not with concern, but with disappointment. "Lucy, why did you wear red? You're trying to steal attention from the bride." I looked at Jessica, waiting for her to defend me, to tell Mom she was being ridiculous. Instead, Jessica looked me up and down and said, "I specifically said elegant. This is just sad." I felt tears burning in my eyes. Dad walked past the room, and I tried to catch his eye, but he looked away. He actually looked away from his own daughter. Jessica walked up close to me and whispered so only I could hear, "You should leave before Brandon's family sees you." That's when something inside me broke, but I didn't leave. I should have, but I didn't. The cocktail hour started, and I stood alone in the corner watching everyone mingle and laugh. I didn't know anyone, and no one approached me. Then Brandon's best man, Kevin, walked over with a group of his friends. He looked at me with this smirk and said loudly, "Hey, are you with the catering staff?" His friends burst out laughing. I felt my face turn red. "I'm the bride's sister," I said quietly. He looked shocked for a second, then laughed even harder. "Oh, wow, really? I would have never guessed." The sarcasm in his voice cut through me like a knife. Other guests started staring and whispering. I could see phones coming out, people probably texting each other about the bride's poor, pathetic sister. I decided I needed to just get to my table and make it through dinner. Then I could leave and never see these people again. But as I walked toward the dining area, Sophie deliberately stuck her foot out. I didn't see it until it was too late. I fell hard, my hands hitting the marble floor. Pain shot through my wrists. My dress tore at the shoulder and I heard the fabric rip. Gasps echoed through the room. Sophie stood over me with fake concern on her face. "Oops, so clumsy." People were definitely recording now. I could see the phones pointed at me. Amanda rushed over supposedly to help me up, but as she did, she poured her entire glass of red wine down the front of my dress. "Oh no. I'm so sorry. That stain will never come out." She wasn't sorry. None of them were. They were enjoying this. I was on my hands and knees, wine-soaked, dress torn, in front of 200 people. This was their entertainment. I got up somehow and ran toward the hallway, tears streaming down my face. I just wanted to leave. I wanted to disappear. But Jessica caught me before I could reach the exit. She grabbed my arm and spun me around. For a second, I thought maybe she would finally show some compassion. Maybe she would be my sister again. How could you let them do this to me?" I sobbed. Her eyes were cold, colder than I'd ever seen them. "You did this! You came here looking like a beggar! I couldn't believe what I was hearing! I raised you! I gave up everything for you!" My voice was breaking. She stepped closer, her face twisted with anger. "And I'm tired of being reminded. You're pathetic, Lucy. You think you're some kind of martyr? You're just jealous of my success. You always have been." Then she slapped me, hard, across my face. The sound echoed in the hallway. My cheek burned, and I could taste blood in my mouth. Several guests had followed us and were watching through the glass doors. I touched my face in shock, and Jessica just stood there, breathing hard, not even looking sorry. Brandon's mother appeared, walking toward us with this look of disgust. "Young lady, you're causing a scene." I turned to her, my voice barely a whisper. "But I'm her sister." She looked at me like I was garbage on the street. "Security, please escort this woman out." 2 large security guards appeared from nowhere. They grabbed my arms, one on each side. I looked at Jessica, hoping she would stop this, hoping she would remember who I was, what I'd done for her. But she just said, "Just go, Lucy. You don't belong here." Mom was standing in the doorway. She saw everything. She saw her daughter being manhandled by security guards, and she did nothing. She just turned around and walked away. The guards started pulling me toward the main entrance. Guests were gathered at windows, watching, recording. I was completely humiliated, destroyed. This was it. This was how my relationship with my family ended. In public disgrace. They dragged me to the front entrance, and I was crying so hard I could barely breathe. I managed to pull out my phone with shaking hands and texted Benjamin, "I can't do this anymore. They hate me. I'm worthless." The guards were about to push me out the doors when suddenly everything stopped. 3 black cars pulled up to the entrance, not just any cars. A Rolls-Royce, a Mercedes Maybach, and a Range Rover, the kind of cars you see in movies. Everything seemed to move in slow motion. The doors opened, and men in expensive suits stepped out. They looked like Secret Service agents. The security guards holding me loosened their grip, confused. Then the back door of the Rolls-Royce opened, and Benjamin stepped out. But this wasn't the Benjamin I knew. This was someone else entirely. He was wearing a custom Italian suit that probably cost more than my car. His watch caught the light, and I recognized it as a Patek Philippe, the kind that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. He moved with this quiet power, this authority that made everyone around him seem small. He walked toward the entrance, and the head of venue security suddenly rushed forward. "Mr. Hartford!" "Sir, we had no idea you were attending." The man was practically bowing. The 2 guards holding me immediately let go like I'd suddenly become made of fire. Benjamin walked straight to me, ignoring everyone else. He gently touched my face where Jessica had slapped me. His jaw was clenched, and I could see fury in his eyes, but his touch was so gentle. "Who did this to you?" His voice was quiet but terrifying. Brandon's father came running out, and when he saw Benjamin, his face went completely white. "Benjamin?" No. Benjamin Hartford? He looked like he might faint." Brandon appeared behind him, confused. "Dad, what's going on?" Brandon's father grabbed his son's arm so hard I thought he might break it. "You idiot! That's Benjamin Hartford, CEO of Hartford Global Enterprises." I watched Brandon's face change as he realized, The Benjamin Hartford? The billionaire? Suddenly everyone was pulling out their phones, frantically Googling. I could hear gasps as they found articles. Net worth $8.7 billion. Youngest self-made billionaire. Tech mogul meets with world leaders. Photos of Benjamin with presidents, celebrities, business titans flashed across screens. The whispers grew louder. Everyone was staring at me with completely different eyes now. Jessica pushed through the crowd. When she saw Benjamin, really saw him, her face went from confusion to absolute horror. She knew exactly who he was now. Brandon's mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "That's your husband?" She asked me in disbelief. The crowd was going crazy, whispering, recording, everyone trying to get closer. Benjamin turned to address Brandon's father. His voice was calm, but there was ice in it. "I believe your security was about to throw out my wife." Brandon's father was sweating now, stammering. "Sir, there's been a terrible misunderstanding." Benjamin's eyes narrowed. "No misunderstanding. I saw everything." He looked at the two guards who had grabbed me. "You're both fired. Effective immediately." The venue security chief jumped in. "Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. Right away, sir." Then Benjamin did something I'll never forget. He turned to address the entire crowd that had gathered. His voice carried, clear and authoritative. "I arrived early. I watched from my car." He pointed at Sophie, Amanda, and Christina, who were trying to hide behind other guests. "I saw you three assault my wife in the bathroom through the venue's security cameras." All three girls turned white as sheets. "I watched her be tripped, have wine thrown on her." Then he looked directly at Jessica. "And I saw her own sister slap her." The gasps from the crowd were audible even over my pounding heart. Every phone was recording. This was going to be everywhere. Brandon was panicking. He tried to approach Benjamin. "Sir, Mr. Hartford, I had no idea that Lucy was—" Benjamin cut him off. "You had no idea that the woman being thrown out was your fiancé's sister?" "My wife?" Brandon opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Benjamin continued. "Would it have mattered? If you'd known who I was, would you have treated her differently?" Brandon's father was desperately trying to salvage the situation. "Mr. Hartford, please, we can discuss this. Our company has been trying to get a meeting with Hartford Enterprises for 2 years. Benjamin's expression didn't change. "Had, past tense. That opportunity is gone." I watched Brandon's father's face crumble. "And the financing you need for your downtown project?" "Denied. I'll make sure of it." Brandon's father looked like he might have a heart attack. "But sir, we'll lose everything." Benjamin's voice was cold. "You should have thought about that before you watched your security manhandle my wife." My mother suddenly pushed forward through the crowd. Her face had completely changed. Now she was all smiles and concern. "Lucy, sweetheart, there's been such confusion. I was just about to defend you." Something inside me snapped. All the years of pain, of sacrifice, of being treated like I was worthless came flooding out. "Don't," I said. My voice was stronger than I expected. "But honey, I was just about to—" She continued. "You watched," I interrupted her. "You did nothing when she slapped me." You turned around and walked away. Benjamin stepped closer to my mother. "You told your daughter not to ruin the wedding with her poverty." Mom's face turned bright red. She hadn't realized Benjamin had heard that conversation. Dad was standing behind her, unable to even look up. The shame on his face was clear, but it was too late. Way too late. Jessica was crying now, mascara running down her face. She tried to approach me. "Lucy, I'm sorry. I didn't know he was—" I felt tears in my eyes again, but this time they were different. "Didn't know what, Jessica?" "That my husband was rich?" She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Would it have changed how you treated me? Would you have loved me again if you'd known?" "No, I mean, the pressure of the wedding," she sobbed. I shook my head. "You were sorry when I raised you? When I fed you? When I paid for your school with money from 2 jobs while you slept peacefully?" She was breaking down completely. "I was stressed. I didn't mean—" She cried. "You slapped me, Jessica. You looked me in the eye and you slapped your own sister, the sister who gave up everything for you." Brandon was looking between Jessica and Benjamin, and I could see his mind working. He actually turned to Benjamin and said, "Sir, perhaps we can work something out." He paused, and I saw Jessica look at him with desperate hope. "If I called off the wedding, would you reconsider the financing?" Jessica's face changed from hope to complete betrayal in an instant. Benjamin looked at Brandon with disgust. "You'd throw away your bride to do business with me?" Brandon backtracked quickly. I just thought," Benjamin cut him off. You two deserve each other. Perfect match. Sophie, Amanda, and Christina were trying to quietly slip away through the crowd. Benjamin's voice stopped them. Not so fast. They froze like deer in headlights. I have all the bathroom security footage, every second of what you did to my wife. Amanda's voice was shaking. We were just joking around. Benjamin's expression was stone. Assault isn't a joke. My lawyers will be in touch, all three of you. The girls started crying. Their parents rushed over, mortified, already thinking about lawsuits and criminal charges. I stood there in my torn, wine-stained dress, with my face still red from Jessica's slap. But something had changed. I wasn't the pathetic sister anymore. I was standing next to Benjamin, and I realized that I had always had value. I had always been worthy. They just couldn't see it. I looked at Jessica. Really looked at her. I loved you more than anyone in this world, I said quietly. The crowd had gone silent, everyone straining to hear. I gave up my dreams so you could have yours. I worked myself to exhaustion so you could go to college. I sacrificed my youth so you could have a future. Jessica was sobbing uncontrollably now. And you repaid me with cruelty. You treated me like garbage. You let your friends assault me, and then you hit me. Please, Lucy, don't do this, Jessica begged. I felt Benjamin's hand on my shoulder, supporting me. I'm not doing anything, Jessica. You did this. This is all you. I turned to Benjamin. Let's go. He looked at me carefully. Are you sure? I nodded. I'm sure. These people aren't my family anymore. Mom reached out toward me. Lucy, please, let's talk about this. I looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel that desperate need for her approval. You made your choice, Mom. You made it when you watched them hurt me, and you did nothing. Dad finally spoke up. Sweetheart. He started. Don't. I cut him off. Just don't. I spent my whole life trying to make you proud. I'm done. As Benjamin and I turned to leave, he stopped. He pulled out his phone and made a quick call. Yes, finalize it now, he said to whoever was on the other end. Then he turned to the crowd. Oh, one more thing? Everyone was watching him, hanging on his every word. This venue? I just bought it, 20 minutes ago. Closed the deal while I was sitting in my car watching my wife be abused. The gasps were deafening. The venue manager rushed forward. Sir, what are your instructions? Benjamin looked around at all the guests, the decorations, the elaborate setup that probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. This wedding is canceled. Refund everyone. Send the bill to my office. I'll cover all costs. Jessica screamed. No! You can't do this! Benjamin looked at her calmly. I just did. Maybe next time you'll think twice before you treat people like they're beneath you. He turned to his security team. Make sure everyone leaves peacefully. Benjamin put his jacket around my shoulders, covering my torn, stained dress. His security team surrounded us as we walked toward the Rolls-Royce. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Every single phone was recording. This would be all over social media within hours. The bride's sister married to a billionaire. The wedding that got canceled. The family that destroyed itself with cruelty and snobbery. I didn't look back. Not at Jessica, who was screaming and crying. Not at Brandon's family, who were in complete chaos. Not at my mother, who had collapsed in a chair, finally realizing what she'd lost. Not at my father, who stood there like a statue, unable to move or speak. I just walked forward, next to the man who truly loved me, toward a life where I would never again let anyone make me feel worthless. Benjamin opened the car door for me, and I slid into the luxury interior. As we drove away from that resort, I watched it disappear in the rearview mirror. That chapter of my life was over. The little girl who sacrificed everything for a family that didn't appreciate her was gone. In her place was a woman who finally understood her worth. That was 1 month ago. Benjamin and I renewed our vows privately, on a beautiful beach with just us and the sunset. No guests, no drama, just love. Jessica has sent me 47 text messages. I haven't answered a single one. Mom and Dad tried to visit our home 3 times. Benjamin's security turned them away each time. Brandon's father's real estate company went bankrupt within 3 weeks. Sophie, Amanda, and Christina all faced assault charges. We settled out of court, but the story made national news. Their reputations are destroyed. Brandon and Jessica did get married at a small city hall ceremony with almost no one there. They divorced within 6 months. Apparently, when the money and status disappeared, they had nothing left. I heard Jessica moved back in with our parents. I don't feel bad for her. I don't feel anything for her anymore. I started a foundation for women who sacrificed their dreams for family. Women who gave up everything and got nothing in return. We helped them go back to school, start businesses, find themselves again. It's the most fulfilling work I've ever done. And finally, after all these years, I'm happy. Truly, deeply happy. They thought I was nothing because I had nothing to show, but I had everything that mattered. I had dignity, kindness, and real love. Sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones you loved first, and that's okay. Because walking away isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself for once. It's understanding that you deserve better, and I do. I deserve so much better. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have forgiven Jessica? Or was Lucy too kind? Do you think the family deserved what happened to them? I want to know your thoughts. Subscribe for more dramatic true stories that will blow your mind. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they deserve better, that their worth isn't determined by how others treat them. Remember, you are valuable. You are worthy, and you don't need anyone's approval to know that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.